Welcome back to my channel, everybody. Today we are at my shop. Going to be taking a look at some of my vehicle projects. It is cold. The snow is finally starting to melt away. It'll probably dry up today. I like the snow, but yeah, don't make me work in it, man. I'll take 10 feet, 11 feet of snow all day long. I don't want to make a living in it. Don't make me roll around in it, get muddy, get wet, and get cold. So, today's subject, we've got two cars in the shop that I'm trying to finish up. A 1963 Nova Coupe and maybe a sneak peek at a 57 Bel Air. So, we're getting this car all mocked up. It's moving along pretty good. Kind of a little bit of a backstory on this car. A customer brought me this car several years ago, and it was another mechanic shop that brought it to me. And so it was his customer, and he just asked me to, we're going to do an engine swap, and so to pull the engine. So I pulled the engine for a friend of mine, and then he said, well, I'm going to pass you along to my customer, and I could never get a hold of that customer for a little over a year and a half. So I pushed this car out to the storage lot, and there it sat. So a year and a half goes by, and this guy here brings me his 57 Bel Air. So he brings it in for engine, transmission, rear end, tires, rims, exhaust, interior, everything. So huge project. And to back up a little bit, when I took this car on, I was really slow. I had very little work going on, so I said, yeah, I'll do a little Nova project, no big deal. So when this car showed up, I had a little bit of work, but not much. But this car alone was gonna push me over the top. So this car was going to suck up every bit of excess time that I had. Well, this guy happened to be this guy's father-in-law. So, this guy finds me, and he says, man, let's get that car going. Let's go ahead and do that, throw that in line. I said, all right, I'll tell you what, I didn't know what to do. I took on the project. Hindsight's 2020. But I told him these are two really good customers. I told him that, listen, I'm going to get your father-in-law's done, and then we're going to move on to the Nova. So, here we are. He brought me this engine, which is, I believe, a crate engine. He brought me a 700 R4. And other than that, he said, put it in. So I knew, my dad has a 63 Nova SS, and so I knew that we needed this oil pan kit. So front sump oil pan, motor mounts, transmission dipstick, special pickup tube, oil pump drive, whatever else was involved in that. So I had ordered that part early on, and started getting some parts going, and somewhere in the project I think we decided that we're going to go a little bit different route. So we're going to put the tube chassis, disc brakes, rack and pinion steering, the Mustang 2 front end. So I quoted them out on that. So I found this kit here from a company out of Oregon, I believe. And so they were like the middle of the line kit. There was some cheaper kits, some more expensive kits. And I've never dealt with one of these before, so I went ahead, ordered it in, got the paperwork, and they said 40 to 60 hours of labor to put this guy in. And so I had misquoted this job and everything like that, but honestly, it's been going good. The front end wasn't that hard to put in, and I'm actually pretty glad that we're doing this, because it seems a little bit easier to do this front end than to try to shove a motor like this into a stock front clip. There was no room in that stock clip. I mean, you can see here where the fenders came down. I'm not sure they came down somewhere in here. There wasn't much room for a brake boost or anything like that. And I know that the tie rod ends up going through the center of that oil pan, so it's got a sump on each side. I'll probably end up doing that project on a factory Nova one day, but other than that, I stripped off the front clip. That took me, I want to say 5 to 8 hours. So it wasn't a big deal. You know, 3 bolts up here, a couple bolts. We ended up stripping apart the radiator support, fenders, everything, separating everything out, and then I called the company back, got some instructions. The instructions were super generic, same instructions for Ford F100s, all the years of Novas, pretty much everything. So there was a few little discrepancies in the instructions, but other than that, it was pretty simple. These frame rails bolted straight up. The brackets or the support beams bolted straight up. That wasn't a big deal. Suspension went together nice and easy. The only thing is you have to cut the cross member. So this cross member was a lot higher, and you have to cut that cross member to figure out how low you want the car to sit. And then that'll also dictate, so if you want the car, let's see, that would be higher, the cross member is lower down here, but the lower you make this car, the more difficult things start to get to put in. So we notched the frame for the rack and pinion, and we got it pretty close to where we want it. If we would have went any lower, at a certain point, you want to probably put the rack and pinion above the frame and notch the frame the other way. We're going to see how the height ends up. So then you weld these brackets on. I got the adjustable coilover kit, and oh, it's sitting on jack stands right now. I was actually wondering why it looks high right now. So we actually got this car pretty low, but so then you got to figure out where to weld this cross member at, and to get all your geometry right on the A-arms and everything. We'll see how we did when it's sitting down on its weight. My plan is to have this not as much as it is now, but just facing down a little bit, and have most of my travel be upwards. Not a lot of travel on these shocks, but they sent me the wrong coilovers, so I'm still working on that. I don't know how that's going to go. I haven't got a set of coilovers in. We're going to look. So yeah, you've got to weld on your brackets to your rack and pinion. So you've got a few options there. Front or back side of the cross member is actually both possible. And then some side-to-side adjustments, and like I said, you can put it up or down wherever you want. So this is pretty well centered. It looks a little bit over to the right, but it's not bad. But that gives us a good angle for our steering joints and everything like that. So yeah, right now we're just tack welding everything up, mocking everything up, and trying everything out. They sent some of the motor mounts. They sent these mounts here that were already bolt up. And by the time we got the engine in, the mounts were actually sitting off of the cross member here. They were way forward. So we ended up cutting the motor mount off, building our own plate, sliding that back, I think 4 inches, and then building our own brackets, welding them onto the cross member there. And that worked out pretty well. That gives us room for our fuel pump. That was the other thing. The motor mount bracket they had there wouldn't fit the big old Holley fuel pump that we had on here. And obviously, guys, this is a budget project. So there's a little things on a budget here. I mean, the car is decent shape, but yeah, I mean, it's got some. It's just going to be a little rat rod, kind of go out and have fun type of car. So I'm not sure what his plans are with it after that. But yeah, we'll see. Give you a little peek inside here. So the car was pretty decent shape. It's been gone through before, but it's been years. It was sitting in Colorado, as you've seen on the license plate, and it's been a long time since this car's been messed with. I actually drove this car with the 6-cylinder. I really liked it with the 6-cylinder. So we went through a few different oil pans. You can see we're getting real close on the sway bar back here, if I can get a good shot of it. So we didn't quite know what to do with that. No other place worked. We couldn't get it up front, on the bottom, or on top. Basically, it came into contact with all this stuff here. We might have been able to extend these a little bit, but we think that spot's going to work. Like I said, it's just mock-up right now. We're going to try everything. I still don't have the transmission. So the transmission is hanging right now. And this motor is sticking up, as some people already noticed, above the hood. So this will level out a little bit, and we've got two options. That's a high-rise intake. So either we get a low intake and it'll fit no problem, or we cut a hole in the hood. And I think we're leaning towards cutting a hole in the hood. 8-inch brake booster barely fit with these valve covers. I think it's going to end up working. We'll see how that all goes. I've got the proportioning valve and everything that I'm going to need to change. We're going to end up doing disc brakes in the rear. So they sent me a disc in the front, drum in the rear, proportioning valve. Those are different, but the master cylinder has equal capacity front and rear, so that's good. The radiator support, we couldn't find a radiator off the bat that'll work. It's actually down at the radiator shop, and I just gave him the whole radiator support. I built him some mock-up frame rails, and they're going to build me a custom radiator for this car to try to cool this engine. And so we're going to see how that goes. I know there's some stuff on the internet for a couple $100 for radiators. We might still look into those. We'll see how that goes. But the headers. So I ordered 2 sets of headers. I kind of just know that I'm never able to find one set of headers that work. So my process is I've got a storage container full of headers. None of those ended up working. So I ordered a set of these and a set of these. And the straight down ended up working pretty good on the passenger side. There's plenty of space in there. Got to change the motor mount bolt a little bit, but that'll go good. We'll have a pretty steep angle right here that we'll have to adjust for a little bit. On the driver's side, I ended up using the long tube header, and it worked out just perfect. In my business, that's what I call luck, is actually just ordering 2 set of headers and getting them to fit the first time. So we're going to see, obviously, we've got our shift linkage here. I think I'm going to go to a floor shift on this car, just because I've got one. And I went and bought an S10 axle thinking that would work. Everyone ended up telling me that there's no way the S10 is going to hold up to this engine. So I ended up getting I think it was a 1998 Ford Explorer 8.8, disc brakes, 410s, and we're gonna see what gears we end up going with. We've got a locker going in it. So I've got a torsion locker in here. What else we got? We got all kinds of goodies here. Let's see. We've got the steering wheel getting ready to go in. I got to figure out how to make all that look pretty. I've got all the joints and everything. And steering shafts getting ready to go in. So that looks like it's going to work out pretty well. Plenty of room for the distributor back here. I noticed that people are actually deleting these. I'm going to look into that a little bit. I've got room for it. We're a little bit tight on this blower motor back here. There's actually room there. There's about an 1/8 inch of room, but the motor's got to lean forward a little bit. Once the transmission comes up, we've got about 1 inch there. But I also noticed that people are deleting those. No air conditioning. So other than that, hopefully everything else is a pretty easy hookup. We got to figure out wiring. There was no wiring to this car, so I got to wire this whole car. The engine side's easy. We got to figure out windshield wiper motor, blower motor, which that wiring looks to be inside, and then headlights, blinkers, all that stuff. So I also want to touch on one other thing on this front clip system. I noticed that some of these systems that they sell include the inner fenders, which also includes a place to mount the hood hinges. So my kit didn't include any of that. So we're gonna see how much trouble that's gonna cause me. So my kit doesn't include any place to bolt the fenders to. It doesn't include inner fender wells. It did include, the radiator support bolts right up to the frame rails, and the bumper bolts right up as well. So that's nice and simple. But I do have to figure out inner fender wells. So we'll see how much benefit those other kits are, if they're worth it. I'm actually already thinking they're a good idea. I'll have to look into them. I don't know price difference. So we'll keep you guys up to date on this car if you're interested. I'll do some videos, some more videos as time goes on. It shouldn't be too long before I finish it. And we'll also do a separate video on this. But we'll give you a little bit of a sneak peek now. So right now I'm waiting on, we're actually going down. It's got 456 gears in it. We're going down to a 308. I know that's opposite of what most people want to do, but this guy's an older gentleman and he wants to cruise it and do highway drives and everything like that. So we got our stainless steel tank, the fuel pump there. We got all our exhaust done. We got some Kragers on it. So I've got the fuel pump and regulator on the rail there. So this one is actually an LS engine out of a 2014 Tahoe, and a 6-speed transmission, disc brakes, power steering. We stayed with the steering gearbox, but it's got a Borgeson steering gearbox in there, Moroso oil pan. So I'll do a video on this one here. I didn't do all the work, but I did the engine and the transmission, everything like that. So stay tuned. I'll give you a video on this car. We've got all the interior and stuff on it, and I got to finish up this one here pretty soon, so I'll do some test drives and let you know how everything turned out. Same on this one. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching.